projects being, oh, there we go. I had to hit a button there. It said I was allowed to be recorded, which is fine with me.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So I think the first thing that you're going to see is upper levels of government giving stimulus to communities to help with capital projects, getting people back to work, things like that. And then I think that the next thing you're going to see is, again, I'm sorry to repeat myself, but again, a desire to help the most vulnerable in our community, because when during this pandemic, when the government said, and when public health said, stay at home, well, it's pretty easy for me because I have a home, but there's people out there that do not have a home. And so we need to rethink that in the future, not because of maybe some future pandemic, but because it's the right thing to do.
You're right. That's a good thing. Okay, now my question goes now to Andrew. You are a real estate realtor, and this pandemic has changed a lot of things in our livelihood. And how will buying and consumption look like in the housing market?
That's a great question, Chidi. And the best way to answer that is to look at, what are we doing right now? And what are some of the things that COVID has caused us to really embrace, and in a lot of cases propel us forward? You look at technology, a lot of realtors were using things like virtual tours. They were using high quality pictures, staging, things like that. Some were using digital signing mechanisms, and that will continue, but that's forced everybody to be more virtual. The other thing is it's brought on Zoom, so we can do calls like this and really get our message out. So it's really enabled us to meet more people. So if we look at that, there's some other things that have changed too because of COVID that people may not really realize until they go look at a house. So the way that it's set up now is that most people hold off offers, which is partly a strategy, but it's also out of necessity because you need to get people through the house, and we can't overlap anymore. There's no open houses. We have to have sort of a window of time between people going in and out. And in some cases, you have 15 minutes to view the house. And so some of this stuff will stay the same post-COVID, which is a good thing, because it brings a high quality product to the buyers. I'm hoping that open houses don't come back because I personally don't like doing them. But those things will continue to stay. The one thing that, when Cam was speaking, in thinking about post-COVID, what is the real estate world going to look like? And how does it affect recovery? The word responsibility came up to me. And we have a responsibility as a community to look after the vulnerable, like Cam said. And what I'm seeing in the market today is a little bit of greed where, maybe investors are selling their rental properties to take advantage of the market. Well, where are those people going to go? A lot of them have been there for 10 years and, their rents hardly increased. And now they're forced to pay, 40 or 50% more than what they currently are. And, we have a lot of other things that relate to affordability. So not affordability, but responsibility. Again, a situation came up last week where there was 21 offers on a property and the owner decided not to take the highest offer because they wanted more money.
Wow.
And in the middle of a pandemic, to me, that is not responsible because now you have, 21 people that viewed that property plus probably another 30 or 40 that were forced to mingle and cross paths and possibly exchange cells or whatever causes COVID. And it was not very responsible in my opinion. And so we need to look at that from that perspective. How do we operate as a whole as an industry in a responsible manner? I hope that made sense. It literally just came into my brain now. So
that's great. Okay, let's get on to the second topic. I'm going to start with Isaac. The second topic is affordable housing issues and concepts. So Isaac Evans is the CEO of a Pour From Within Clean Energy Society. The first question goes to affordable housing issues are a growing problem in our communities. The organization has been working on a unique sustainable housing project that will include renewable energy, aquaponics, all year-round greenhouse agro system. How can you explain this to the community, how it works? You are muted. We can hear you. Oh.
Hi, sorry. There's a small difficulty there. Wouldn't unmute. My apologies. Yes, hi. The homes that we designed at Power from Within Clean Energy Society, we took a lot of things in consideration when dealing and talking to the public. A lot of them had to do with sustainability, affordability, energy costs. A lot of people were having problems with the agricultural system. So one of the things that we took in consideration were some of those key points. So what we did was we used a modular home system. And with this modular home, we took it fully self-sustainable by using a solar PV solar system, hybrid system with a generator for a sustainable backup system. We also integrated a agricultural room by using the technique of aquaponics, which will give them a year-round uninterrupted agricultural system where they can grow their agriculture. It's proven to be 14% higher nutrition than anything that's on the market in traditional farming. It produces, in a 20-foot system that we have, it produces 333 heads of lettuce in a year, 180 pounds of tomatoes, and 90 pounds of fish. For a family, that's saving them about $1,300 a year. You times that by 10, that's still a good, healthy living from just saving on agriculture without dipping too much into the market. Also, by designing these kind of homes as well, we took in consideration, people were always complaining about energy costs, and where some people live, it's either you're paying for your bills or you're paying for your house or something you have to give up. So we took in consideration, if we can take away one of those bills, how could that empower a family? How can they utilize that money somewhere else? By going solar and self-sustainable, that saves a family, again, another portion. It saves them about, if I wasn't mistaken, with their hydro and gas, about $3,900 yearly. So if you times both of them by 10 years, you're saving them about $52,000. I think that's pretty good for an ROI on a house that works for you and something that you're not doing for yourself. So we did this in consideration to make sure that we made a house that can also design a no waste food program. And with this no waste food program, it also generates income for the community or for a household if they choose to. So even if they are doing well, they can take a portion of that and they can generate it into an income. As a group and as a collective, you can become a local food source in a mini market.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, the second question goes to Mayor Kam. So based in affordable housing, as our city is growing rapidly in population, how is the city getting ready to accommodate newcomers? How will the city deal with the growing concerns of affordable housing?
So that's a great question. Try to keep it as succinct as possible, but I think it's easiest to start with some stats. So we are, that 140-ish thousand range of population right now. And by law, by provincial law, we must be 205,000 people in Guelph by 2051. So that's like 60,000 more people over the next not too long horizon. And the question then comes, where do you put them?
Yeah, exactly.
and so we have to try to accommodate, and we will look to accommodate that amount of people within our current boundaries. So there's only a few green spots, green spaces left of land that could be developed. Of course, a lot of it is protected from natural heritage, environmental, water. It's all protected, but and then the rest of it we want to have built within an intensification, so within the built up areas of the city already. So our city's going to change. It's really going to change. And you said, how are we welcoming newcomers? Most of those people are going to be, well, they're all going to be new to our community, but a lot of them will be newcomers, and we want to make sure that we don't kind of, as we grow, a lot of people love that Guelph DNA, that really, you know, hi, how are you, as you're passing on the sidewalks down the street or on the porches of homes.
Yeah.
You know, we've got that great community vibe and culture
Right.
here. And part of our DNA and part of our community culture here is also to be very accepting, welcoming of newcomers, wherever they're coming from. And so we're very blessed in Guelph to have that type of an atmosphere. And so it's going to be difficult to try to go through these growing pains, but we're doing them in a slow and methodical way to make sure that we're, you know, it's going to work. And then the last part of your question was about, well, what about affordable housing? I mean, we can't just keep building, you know,
Right.
$600,000, $700,000, $900,000 homes or units across the community. So we have a lot of policies and goals embedded in trying to make sure that as we are growing new subdivisions and growing new units across the city, that we do accommodate for affordable housing as well. And that's both affordable rent and affordable home ownership as well. There is one tool that I would just say in my ending here for you. It's called, now I've lost the name of it off the top of my head. Inclusionary zoning. That's what it's called, inclusionary zoning. And that's from the province, where if there is development happening around high transit areas, like our central bus station and train station downtown, the city can actually force developers to have a percentage of their new developments to be affordable housing.
Okay.
And so we're investigating that as a council and as a community, and looking to actually debate and discuss bringing that in, so that we can have that type of housing not be always consistently, you know, begging, oh, please, could you build affordable housing? It's like, no. You want to build there, you're going to have to give a percentage of those units to actual affordable housing in our community.
That's interesting. It's a good point. Okay, my next question goes to Andrew. Same topic. Andrew, affordable housing is a very important issue and very dear to you. And can you tell us about your project and how the general public can access them?
Yeah, I would be happy to tell you about that. So before I go into what it is that we're doing, it's important to know what one of the main causes of the lack of affordability is, and that is really a supply and demand thing. And so the answer to creating or to fix that problem is to create more homes, to bring more inventory in, and Cam talked about that. One of the things that we saw that is kind of missing in a lot of the programs that are out there is, what can we do today, and what can regular ordinary citizens do? Because a lot of us aren't, most of us are not developers or privy to that, but a lot of us do want to help in some way. And so we can think also about sustainability. What can we do in our community to build without really, tearing down trees or making new roads? And the answer to that problem is actually right in our backyards or in our homes already. And that is the utilization of unused space. And as we, move through our life cycles, we'll have a need that is different in terms of how we use the space. And it's important for us to look at that. So for example, you might not be using your basement anymore because the kids are out of the house, gone to university. You might not even physically be able to go to the basement. So what we've done is we've created a company to create affordable housing by creating basement apartments and then even homes in your backyard. So Isaac and I can talk a little bit more about that in the future. And so that's nothing extraordinary. People do that all the time. But the difference with radical housing is we want to do it in a way that we give homeowners an incentive to rent it out at affordable rates, which is about 20% less than market value. And we will also, the secret sauce, so to speak, is that we will build your basement apartment for free and then share in the rent until we're paid back. So, most developers or builders won't be able to do that. And we'll also manage the project from beginning to end, including finding and managing the tenant and having a guaranteed rent. So we feel like that would be enough to incentivize homeowners to at least look at their current situation, see if there's unused space on their property to make room for affordable housing.
Oh, interesting. Okay, the next question goes to Isaac, still in the affordable housing. How can the general public be involved to get access to this housing project?
Well, being that we're at a concept level and we're trying to go to prototype, we're at the stage right now where we're reaching out to elected leaders, to public, to also to schools and stuff like that to promote our vision. Now that we've started promoting our vision and we've been reaching out on local media, we're looking to start our campaign to get a land spot or a land lease, so that way we can go from prototype to concept. The only thing we do have right now is a 3D model, but we are looking at raising the funds so we can actually build a model, so that way we can also document it, film it, and at the end of building our model, we're looking at raffling it off at the end of our demonstration to a lucky family that would own and have one of the first homes that were ever designed like this, which is a modular home that's totally self-sustainable and year-round agriculture that you can grow indoors without any interruption for you and your family.
Mm-hmm.
So there are many ways they can reach out to us on our website. They can reach out to us on Instagram and just contact us. We're always looking for ways to collaborating with people and organizations and other elected leaders and community leaders, so that we can all work together. And that's the important thing today is working together, and that's what we're here for. We're not here to say that we know everything. We're here to say we have a vision, and we're here to share our vision with you, and how can we make it work with you.
Oh, interesting. Now, the same question to you again. That's the last one in this topic. Affordable housing is very, very complex term. What is affordable to you might not be to me. So how affordable are all these the homes you're talking about right now?
Well, the one thing that we're doing, we look at, the most common house price in the city of Toronto is almost $1 million. So we're not trying to compete with the housing market. What we're doing is making sure that we're building our homes very efficiently and affordability. And the one thing that we're doing is maximizing everything that comes with these homes, which is safety. A lot of the stuff that we're putting in our homes is mold resistant, fire retardant, heated floors, some other perks and stuff that comes with the home, security cameras, but all this comes within the price. The one thing that we're doing is making sure that whatever it is that we do is we're a not-for-profit organization. We're here to work with people. We're also working with banks as well to set up a program for the low and mid-income working families that, as long as they're working and they've had a stable job, that the banks are going to be willing to back them, so that way they can own these homes. We're not looking at renting these homes or leasing them. We want people to own these homes, because ownership is a big burden off a family's shoulder. And if you have a home that you can own, that also for the younger generation, that gives them something to look up to, that they can afford these homes and not, look up into these days and say, oh, that's something that's unreachable.
You're right. That's interesting. So, Mayor Cam, do you have any comment about these two gentlemen, what they just inputted to us? Can this kind of thing work in our city?
Yeah, it can. In fact, I've been so intrigued with everything you've been saying, Isaac. So first of all, could you please reach out to me, after this great call we're doing here with all of us, just so I can talk to you a bit more about this and maybe point you in the right direction on a couple things that might be able to, look for partnerships in what you're trying to do. One of the things that Andrew touched on very well, which was underutilized properties, or turning an underperforming asset into a performing asset, such as Andrew said, the basement or the backyard. And the province of Ontario now changed the rules and regulations around allowing basically 3 residential units on one property. So you can own a home like I'm in here. I could rent out my basement as a second unit, but then I could build a tiny home in the backyard, and that could be the 3rd unit as well. And that's exactly what Andrew is saying. Now for yours, Isaac, I don't quite know. It could be singular units like yours or scaled up to be several on a piece of land. But one of the things that intrigues me about yours is, one, it's a house, number one. number two, it's sustainable. And one of the things that people can sometimes, the math works to afford the house, but then they can't afford the operating costs.
Yeah,
And the things that you touched on to lower the overhead, to lower the operating costs is fantastic. And then the third thing is around food and around food, not only local food production, but also around the waste. And I liked how you said that. So just so you know, quick little blurb about Guelph. 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago, there was a Canadian-wide contest from the federal government called the Smart Cities Contest. And Guelph, Wellington County, we went together and we won the $10 million Smart Cities Award on a circular food economy. And it's about using the things, like you said, waste or excess food to be given or sent somewhere else for another purpose. So it's not just going to waste. And so local food production and not having things thrown out and creating a circular economy around that, combined with sustainable housing, I mean, it's a complete win-win-win-win-win-win all over the place. Yeah, so I think you're onto something here. I wish you all the best in this vision coming to reality, and definitely reach out to me afterwards. I'd love to connect you with our Smart Cities Center in town to maybe just talk to some of the directors there about your vision and what you're trying to do. It would be probably a good partnership for you to at least have a discussion and thank you for what you're trying to do there. It's great.
Yeah,
thank you.
Appreciate it, Mayor.
Just to let you know, on a quick note, it's not just homes too, that we can also stack these, so we can also make small complexes.
That's even great.
Just to let you know, it's not just homes. So we can utilize the small space of land by going upwards, not just going abroad.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like Lego, right? Just do. I've seen them. I've seen them 6 stories, 7 stories tall, and 12 rows long. I mean, Vancouver, Calgary, I think has some that have been built over the last year. I think Toronto's doing some right now. Definitely doable. Definitely doable.
Oh, that's great. It's good to know. Okay, the next topic we're going to go is the third topic. I'm going to start with Andrew. So, Andrew, what advice do you have for us community members to be sustainable in the areas of making use of what they already have?
Yeah, I think I already touched on that a little bit. Is just to really take a look at what you have right now. What are you using? What are you not? But also planning into your future. And you should probably do that anyways when it comes to owning real estate, is to look at how you are going to live 10, 15, 20 years out and start planning for that. And a lot of us forget to do that. And we hit the age of 65 as an example, and we're like, oh, I've got to do something different here. The one example that I have, it keeps coming back to me, and I'm going to say it now, is that when people get older, the last place that they want to be is an old age home, in my opinion, right? Especially with COVID-19. And a lot of us have elderly parents or grandparents that maybe have gone to an old age home and have been affected by COVID. I have. My grandmother would have loved to stay in her home as long as she possibly could have. And she may have been able to do that if she was able to use her property or the parts of her property that she couldn't use anymore, like the basement. It was 10 years that she couldn't get to the basement. And so it was just an empty space. So if this project was back then, that may have helped her, because that person may have been able to help her out with the house, cut the grass, things like that. And she would have got to age in her home for as long as possible. So just think about your lifestyle and how you can contribute to our community as a whole by using space that you aren't using, including your backyard.
Yeah, that's great. That's great to know. So the next question is same topic, goes to Mayor Kam. The current pandemic has taught all of us a big lesson that our communities are not sustainable, like food and energy. What are the plans in place for our community or city to be able to deal with future occurrences?
Yeah, so we have set a goal as a city, as a council, that we want to be a net zero community by 2050 or sooner. And we want, and from what is under our control, in other words, city assets like libraries, rec centers, other assets and buildings that we have, when we either look to replace or build new, that the energy will be 100% renewable. So one of the things that I'm, really excited about is that, government can't do everything, and that's a good thing to remind people in government. So what we can control, we've got our policies and procedures around that. But we need to motivate the community, because we can't be a net zero community by 2050 if the community also isn't involved. So we have helped, seed fund an organization in town called Our Energy Guelph. And Our Energy Guelph is a separate organization that sort of helps people and businesses, figure out how to do those sustainability things within their home. So that is one thing that I'm very proud of the community, because it's not only the argument of it being good for the environment, which of course it is, but now it's a pocketbook argument. The investments that can have a return on your investment on the financial side are fantastic now. You can either lower your operating costs, have income coming in, as Andrew said, for paying off your initial investment, and then you have cash coming in later in life. So these types of things are really, really good things to do. They're, like I said at the beginning with one of my answers, it's also the right thing to do. And so I think that the community is going to start to really rally around this. And then the last thing I would say is that I think one of my other questions that I answered around stimulus, the federal government just announced, I think it was like 3 or 4 days ago, they just announced like a home retrofit on the environment side, sort of rebate program. And also they're willing to help or pay for the entirety of energy audits within your home. People come and do an energy audit, and then you can look to change your windows and change your roof and solar or whatever the criteria is. And so I would really suggest that, a lot of the greenhouse gas emissions and issues come from either transportation, that's like the number one, or old homes, period. Old homes that need to be updated. And so when it comes time to look to do that insulation and siding or windows and doors, solar, make sure you look to the government programs that are out there, because they may very well help you make those decisions a little bit easier if you know you're going to get a rebate. And so you're going to help you with the pocketbook, and you win on the environment side too. And it puts people back to work, which I love.
Right. That's the great part of it. That's good. Okay. The last question goes to Isaac. So sustainability is a very hot topic. I love the part you said about the aquaponics. So food sustainability and security is very vital. So how can your aquaponics agro-system help in solving some of the food insecurity that we have in our societies today, especially the low-income families and the indigenous communities and newcomers that depend on, say, food banks and all whatnot? So how can they utilize these aquaponics to be sustainable and accessible to them?
First, I'd just like to say, Andrew, I love your program, and I think we should talk. I've been reminiscing some ideas already in my head on some of your programs there. Congratulations on that. I think it's great. To answer your question there, Chidi, the one thing that we took into consideration, and the one thing that I looked at, and over the last 6 years, I've been studying several different techniques in the agricultural system. Irrigation, hydroponics, vertical farming. There's many different technologies and techniques that we've been using, rooftop gardening, that can maximize our healthy growth today. Out of all the studies and research I've done, I found that aquaponics was the most sustainable way and fastest growing production for not only for a sustainable family, but also for a market. And the reason for this is because of the fact that it's in a controlled atmosphere, that there's no pesticides, use 90% less water. There's no chemicals. There's no interruption into your food growth from seed to table. Basically, is what I call it. Healthy fish, healthy crop. The fish have a nutrient called nitrate. The plants have a nutrient called nitrate. So with this combination of the mini ecosystem of aquaponics, this allows us to utilize this technology to further ourselves. And by that meaning is I was able to utilize with this technology to form a mini market, not only within a home, but as a combination of homes in a neighborhood or as a larger aquaponics unit. It's raising income, not only for the family, but also for the neighborhood. It's also creating jobs. It's creating skill training that we're setting up skill training programs so that after we train certain people or even colleges and universities, that you also have an in-community job. We set up a point system that will also go with this, that other people who have trades into the communities can also utilize their trades, or it becomes a credit system. So everybody's helping each other. You're growing together. The one thing I love about aquaponics is it brings diversity together, and it also eliminates the age gap, because everybody from youth to elderly loves agriculture, loves to eat, loves to have food. Food has been a thing that brought people together for many, many centuries. So bringing in this technology and utilizing it, maximizing it to our ability, I find it's just overwhelming at times to how this can change not only locally but around the world. This changes ways that we can utilize this by using a modular system and adding solar power to it, and that we can transport these anywhere in the world. Basically, if you really think about it, we can help aid relief anywhere. People are talking about they have camps where they have, no food and they're having problems. Well, we can manufacture this, and Canada can be the front liners of this new technology and this new things and become the front liners like we used to be, and start helping out these resources. We have other people coming into the country. We're looking at ways of how do we sustain these ways. Well, these are quick solutions that we can utilize that will help out in the agricultural market. And as well, like I said, as a collective, it can also raise revenue that will also help sustain the community, that will also be a less burden on the taxpayers.
Interesting. That's really great. So any final topics from all the panelists? Welcome, Andrew.
I would just say
Go ahead,
go ahead,
Andrew.
Mind is spinning, and there's a lot more conversations to be had. So thank you for putting this together, Chidi. To me, this is the purpose of this kind of conversation, is to get our minds working together as a community to solve a common problem.
That's great.
Andrew said it best. It's always good when a politician keeps its mouth shut. So yeah.
And I want to add that you guys have been in our community. Like for me, anything involved in community, I'm there. And the most important I want to say now, our partners allow us to do this. Richard, without Richard come, you would have been in doghouse today.
Yeah.
You are awake like I used to test come 11 at night. He responded right away. He's all day working with the community, trying to educate the community, doing this all the time, day and night. Our spouses, our partners are the real heroes. Sometimes I tell my wife, please, I appreciate you giving me that time to do what I'm doing. So like what all of us say, I think we have to appreciate our partners, what they're doing, allowing us to be public servants. Without them, as I said, would have been in doghouse today. So I just
amen to that. Yeah, amen to that for sure.
So our partners are really great and keeping us grounded and letting us do what we do, serving the communities. And as Andrew said, bringing us together, brainstorming to have a solution for our community, especially the most vulnerable. That's the most important thing. And this discussion, I think, will keep on rolling and talking about it, brainstorming ideas that will help all our communities together. Diversity, inclusion, everybody coming together makes better results. So thank you guys for coming today, and I appreciate it for your time. And I can get in touch with you guys soon to organize similar thing like this. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anytime. Thanks everybody.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.